Beautiful.
There you go. There you go.
Mhm.
So we have before us these two passages. Uh, Exodus 32. I read a little ahead in Exodus because I think, well, because here we have Exodus for normal people again with Peter Enns. And so it made sense to read into 33 because there you go. What does
Mhm.
God want to say to Moses after this kerfuffle? Um, so Exodus 32, and then John. What did we read in John? Um,
4, John 4, maybe?
no, further on. It was part of
Oh,
the
19,
yeah,
4 to
19
16.
verses 4 to 16.
part of the passion. So
19.
I have
yeah.
that Bible.
So
Are you using that
but
Bible?
the common
Using that Bible?
element in here is the
Thanks
crowds.
for you.
It's the common element is us.
Yeah.
That's what the common element. And I don't know about you, but I especially in the John stories, I I put myself in those places and wonder. Um, what would I do and feel and be like? Would I go along with the crowds? Um, you know, I just wonder about those things.
Mhm.
So let's start with Exodus 32. We're not going to read that whole thing out loud, but as you read it again, was there anything about it surprising? Did you read I mean I there was a couple of things I thought, "Oh, really? That's how that story happened?"
Mhm.
Mhm.
I was very much, about Aaron's sort of gosh, indifference and almost the like they did it. That didn't have anything to do with me. I'm not
Yeah, not
responsible.
my fault.
Oh my gosh,
Mhm.
not my fault at all.
And he gets away with it.
Mhm.
He sure does.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was his doing. He collected the gold.
It was his
Mhm.
idea.
It was his idea. Yeah.
Mhm.
But
And not only does he get away with it, oh, I'm sorry, Jane.
That's all right.
He his line gets to be, Lord and hoo-ha
yeah.
over the Israelites
Mhm.
to this day.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
And Moses doesn't get there. I mean, that's the reading ahead part. Moses
Yeah.
doesn't even.
Yeah, right, right.
Jane, you were going to add something quick?
Yeah, I saw an interesting note about the calf thing because some historians say that the calf is also the name for like the pedestal that a deity would sit on. So you create a calf, and then the deity comes down and sits on it.
Huh.
I thought that was kind of interesting. I also had to remind myself this is Moses' second trip up Sinai, and that he'd been up there before. And so, of course, the people are like, well, it should take about 6 days. He's not back yet.
Yeah.
We better get busy.
Talk about impatient people.
Mhm.
But yeah, right? 40 days up there.
Yeah.
And they're just kind of, wandering around, trying to,
Wait, wait, wait.
yeah, I don't know. Well, I don't know.
What's he doing up there?
Mhm.
Exactly. I don't know what I would, going along with the crowd there.
Yeah. It also made me think of the January 6th crowd and how the power of people crushed together and unhappy and agitated.
Mm.
My mom helped a former teacher of hers write about his experiences in Nazi Germany because he was there when when was it the Olympics that he was presiding at, that
Mhm.
Hitler
Yeah.
presided at?
36.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he commented to my mother that to be caught up in that crowd when Hitler came, he said he immediately gave the salute. He was surprised with himself that he did that because he wasn't politically fond of the Nazis' politics as they were coming into power, but that group surge,
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
terrifying.
I imagine. I remember an audience I was sitting in one time, and the band played the bum ba-dum 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 ba-dum. What is that?
Hymn of the
Battle
Republic.
Hymn
Battle
of the
Hymn of the
Republic.
Battle Hymn of the
Yeah.
Republic. And the band starts playing that, and the entire audience stood up for it, and I did not. I thought,
Wow.
what?
How
What?
much effort did that take
It
to
took
not stand up?
It took piles, and my son's girlfriend was sitting next to me.
Mhm.
My son was he in the band? I can't remember if that's why we were there, but she sat with me. She that was the hardest thing she'd ever done, was to sit with me. Um,
It's hard to do
it,
anti-mob rule.
yeah.
Yes.
So and that was like nothing, right? I mean, that was just the playing. I just don't. I can't figure that out. Why does the audience stand for that, right?
Mhm.
I mean, if I was in church and I were singing a hymn, I'd stand up for that. But I'm in this public place and they're playing this thing and everybody stands up for it, and I did not. Um,
They were all Episcopalians and they just were used to standing up.
stand,
Gotta stand up.
yeah, well, they weren't all in my church, that's for darn sure. So anyway, that's just to say, yes, Jane Korsberg, that whole, yeah. And I think that some of that is true with what we're reading in
Hmm.
That's
Yeah.
okay. Yeah.
Yep.
as well.
Mob rule.
Mob rule.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Have you ever been in a crowd that has gotten a bit unruly?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. I
Mhm.
don't think I ever have.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Hard to resist.
Yeah.
I'm curious to know what your experience was,
Yeah.
Jane.
I was down in Florida and they were anti something that was going on in the politics at the moment. And everybody is jumping up and down in the street. I didn't.
I can remember marching around this upstate street and around the square and back to the university the day Martin Luther King Jr.
Mm.
was killed. But that
Mm.
that wasn't a mob. I mean, it was quiet and more prayerful.
Yeah.
But certainly, and not that I participated in any of them, but there was during the Vietnam War on the campus in Madison a lot of police stuff during demonstrations where the police really turned the demonstration into a mob
Yeah.
and people were running and I
Mhm.
mean, my roommate was injured during one of those.
Mm.
She was just coming out of class
Mm.
and got caught up in this crazy thing and
Yeah. Yeah.
thrown to the ground and
My mother always used to say to me that if you are in a theater or big place sometime, but especially a theater,
Hmm.
and a fire starts, everybody starts to turn into a mob. And the first thing you're not going to do is join them. You're going to crawl under your seat because in mob rule, you get trampled and that kills you.
Yeah. Yeah.
My mother often told me that when we'd go to a theater,
Yeah.
It's
Well,
interesting.
that's good.
crawl under the seat instead of running out.
Let's go, Mary Lou, and then I think Catherine wanted to say something.
Oh, I thought it was very interesting that Sharon brought up Martin Luther King because their training
Mm,
was long and
Mm.
effective
mhm.
and always managed to keep their crowds in order, no matter what happened. And
It's
I
true.
I so admire that.
No, no.
What
Yeah,
discipline. But that
and
but they disciplined their people. They prepared them.
Yeah, yeah. Kathy?
I Mary Lou said it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and I was gonna add to that, the January action at the Minneapolis airport, where we
Oh, wow.
all showed up on the coldest day of the year. Um,
Mhm.
and that, so you all know that there were 100 clergy arrested that day. And that was well choreographed. That was not by chance. And
Mhm.
those clergy were well trained, as Mary Lou, you said, similarly to the, and that's where this organization took its cue. Nobody was paid. I just got every single time I see that somebody says, "Well, all those protesters are
Those kids
paid."
are
It's like,
paid.
yeah, where's my check, please?
Where's my check?
I
Yeah.
could,
I might add, at least the photos I saw, they were regular cops arresting you all and not
no.
ICE agents. They were well trained. I told that to a police officer recently. That I said, after seeing these horrible ICE fans
Yeah.
whizzing around, I tell people, I bring it up every time. The cops are trained, the police are trained, the military's trained. These wannabes, no
No.
discipline.
No. And they were actually kind as well.
Mhm.
They're
Were they?
really fascinating to
Yeah.
watch. I mean, there are some of those, and kneeling on that cold pavement, they did have some cushion. There was some like 1 inch cushions that many were able to put under their knees. But the police officers from the surrounding suburban communities who were there, I watched them help those people up, one on each elbow,
Oh,
helping them into the bus. And they put cable ties
Mhm.
um, around
guys,
around their hand. But they did this so gently, and you could just see the conversations going on. And anyway, well trained is the operative word there, and it did not turn to any sort of mob. And what would it have turned? How would it have turned into a mob if somebody had entered the crowd with a version of what's going on and wanted to make that heard. Maybe a version that wasn't quite true.
Mhm.
Sharon?
well, I'm just thinking that's not what's happening in either of these two
Right,
Bible
right.
passages today.
Yeah.
What's
This really,
what's not
both
happening
of
where?
them,
In our
in
Bible
the two
passage.
Bible passages that we
Oh,
read
okay.
today,
Yeah,
Exodus and John,
yeah.
it definitely is, uh, they are groups that have not been trained.
Hmm.
They are angry, they are frustrated, they are um, tired, maybe.
Mhm.
I
And
don't
looking
know.
for someone to blame.
Yeah,
Exactly,
yeah,
exactly.
yeah. Both in both cases. And I mean, we are those people sometimes, are we not? And I just wonder when we are gonna get so frustrated with the way things are that we become those people. And although I think that in both of these cases, I mean, see, this is what's so kind of scary about it all. I read these stories and I think that they just weren't taking responsibility for themselves, right? They weren't, it didn't have to go that way.
No.
And at the same time, I think, but if I'm gonna continue the kind of resistance that we are enacting, it's gonna get ugly one of these days.
Mhm.
And is that not taking responsibility, or is that
Yeah.
taking responsibility? And Barn, you were gonna say something.
Right. So my comment was you've got um, the power of habit and tradition. They felt safer, I think, creating this idol because it really pulled at safety and wanting to be safe. And so when they were given instructions, they would, okay, fine, we'll go back to what we had before.
Right. I
And
think you're right.
how scary and how unsettling it is
Mm.
to be trying something
Mhm.
new, even though you might believe that it's the right thing to do it. Yeah, just the
Mm.
point of how tradition bound we are as human beings, and over and over again, God is instructing us in the Old Testament to behave differently, and like
Mm.
the story of Adam and Eve, you know, um, it didn't work, So I think we're rebellious, we're frightened, we're all those things that make it hard to go on a new path.
Mm.
Mm.
And that's kind of where I was thinking. Yeah.
Yeah, Sharon?
So to me, the interesting thing about the Israelites and the golden calf is not that they went back to something familiar, because it shouldn't have been familiar to them,
Yeah.
but why would they go back to something the Egyptians had instead of, I mean, did they feel like the Egyptians were coming out better than they were? So maybe let's try other
Mhm.
gods.
Mhm.
Well,
Well, wouldn't that
I
have
don't,
been their heritage?
and their faith was so fragile
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and
that
40
in
days.
the absence of Moses,
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, Aaron and Miriam were still there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What fell apart?
Mm.
And
Hmm.
and it fell apart so easily. And that's the scary thing to me,
Mm.
that, you know, it kind of continues to do that down through the ages. What's a psychological reason, Janet Irvin, for this to happen?
Yeah, for mob behavior like that. Yeah. And the movement toward um I mean we didn't see the violence in Genesis 32 as well, and I don't know if the other one really got violent either, but vocally uh vocally not willing to go with it. But yeah, what moves a crowd into violence? Let's see if Janet has a response,
Oh,
and then Jane.
well, I have to say that when I read it, I actually read it twice because I couldn't believe my eyes. You read a story so many times and you're like, what? But it was almost hilarious to me to read Aaron talking to Moses about the golden calf, and he's like, "Well, we just thought we'd collect the gold stuff, and then we put it in the molten pot, and then out it just was a calf. It was so amazing." It just was like,
Yeah.
what? Moses picked you specially because you could speak, and he's this major player for all these years. He's like, it was like reading about a 2-year-old. Well,
Yeah.
I don't know. I just pulled it out and it was, there, mom. And it was so hilarious to me. I just couldn't believe it. But I think for me, the mob bit, I don't know a lot about mob theory, but I just could imagine them like, we're bored, we need something to do, like little kids. Okay, we'll all give our gold and let's melt it down and have some fun.
Yeah.
Because they did, and they were so bored and feeling like they were getting nowhere. And then Aaron comes up with this incredible silly story, and moves on. And I felt, I mean, the story was tragic and comedy and everything rolled into one. Mob theory, I know a lot of things. I know that if people are alone, they're less likely to, do something naughty. It's like kids walking around the street and they'll chalk your house or egg your car if there's a few of them. But alone, we just are a little bit more reluctant. That's why being online is easy to get pissed off and yell and swear and carry on and call people names, and there's a certain anonymity, I think. But I mean, I think the anonymity can help incite a crowd too. I don't know too much about it, but if he's doing it, I'm going to do it too. And if she's giving her gold bracelets, I'll give mine, and we can all dance around. I mean, I just thought it was sort of like something to entertain them for a while.
Do you think? Do you think if they had like cars in the street, they'd torch them and turn them? I mean, that's sort of mob behavior. Is the
Yeah.
celebration after the winning the big event?
Yeah, that was
Torch some
crazy.
cars. Let's go turn them
Yeah,
upside down. What kind of behavior is
that was crazy. Yeah, I don't know. But if one person does it and there's about 10 around, they'll all join in.
Testosterone driven.
Yeah,
Well,
usually.
I think estrogen is part of it too, or whatever, progesterone.
Well, and let's not forget the surge of adrenaline.
Adrenaline. Yeah.
People
Yeah.
don't know what to do with, apparently.
Right.
I'll run
Well,
a
and just
race instead
just
of turning.
being bored.
Yeah.
Yeah, they just need their shot of something fun to do.
Yeah. Jane, Simon's been wanting to say something.
I often think to myself, and this story brings it to mind, how you can just throw everything away because you are so frustrated and think, well, this is a better way, but all that you have committed to Jesus, God, in this way, all of a sudden it's gone because you're seeing all this. So I frequently pray, Lord, don't let me ever abandon you. It's so easy to just say, I can't stand this anymore, and go after a different God, because if you've studied any other religions, oh my goodness, there's so many others to choose from.
That don't quite put as much not pressure's not the word, but I mean we'll see that in when we move to and we make the road by walking, that that doesn't put as much difficulty. Oh, is that the word I want? Following Jesus is
Emphasis.
easy. Pardon me, Sharon? Emphasis. The whole idea. I mean, even this Sunday's reading about the darn yoke, which I just hate that story, and I'm preaching on Sunday at Martha and Mary. That it's not an easy following Jesus. And I know that's not what we're talking about in Exodus, but we will be moving to here shortly, is not easy. And loving your neighbor, loving the alien is not easy. And as Jane Syme is saying, jumping ship and going to someplace, worshiping something that's so much easier to do. Which I think worshiping a golden calf must have been a little bit easier than following those damned 10 commandments that Moses is coming down the mountain with, right?
When it doesn't happen to you, where you can realize, then all of a sudden you start saying, well, it can't be right. I got to find something else. And away you go.
It was interesting to me that Janet compared this mob to 2-year-olds, because isn't it part and parcel this behavior with, I don't like this food,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, they said that wasn't too long ago, was it? Uh, God feed us. We don't like what you're feeding us. Give us something else, right? I'd much rather have this in a box than that in a box.
Well, and I think one of the major ways that you discipline a 2-year-old who's doing naughty things is to distract them. and and so they had this great distraction, and they had a better God. You could see him and see the calf, and you don't see God. You just hear Moses yakking about him, and then you have this wonderful distraction, and then people could dance around it. You can't dance around this cloud in this in the mountain, and it was just a lot more fun than and I think Christians, we are the same. We get upset about church and try to find a better one that fits our own idea of who God is. And it was way more fun to have this shiny cow. And we could, play around with it like in the sandbox. But then it would be interesting to know what happened. Well, where's my bracelet? Is it at the tail or is it his nose? I mean, it would just be a riot. But I just think it's pretty funny. But I think some of the stuff that happens in mobs is a distraction from the real issue. And it's very adrenaline. It moves adrenaline big time. Like somebody said adrenaline, and it's like, yeah,
Well,
it completely ruins our minds.
let's look at John then with
Okay.
with that in mind. That's kind of a new way to think about for me to think about this. I mean, is that something that the mob, the crowds who yell, crucify him, um,
Okay.
are they looking
Wow. It's a remarkably similar story.
for something
know?
else? Are they, or
They're going
is
back
it
to the old way.
is it just too hard? Is it just too hard to stand up for Jesus, knowing that you're risking your life?
Right.
So instead, you go with the crowd. I mean, that's the way I feel every single time we come to reading the Passion story, and the congregation says, "Crucify him, crucify him." I just am filled with dread and thinking, "Oh my gosh, would I do that? Would I risk life and limb to not participate in that?" Mary Lou?
Well, I think in both of these stories, the thread all along from when we started this, in part, is we start with a half truth. And so people believed a kernel of truth that they were told. And even in John, I think that's true. These are not people necessarily who knew Jesus. These were people who believed a half truth told to them by the Jewish authorities.
Do you think that's the through line of our whole study?
I think that's part of it, yes. Because if you latch on to that half truth and then you can blow it up, that's what's happened to us now in terms of immigrants.
Right.
We started with this half truth. Immigrants kill people. Immigrants this, immigrants that.
That's not even half true.
I know.
But there's this kernel you start with, and then people start buying into it, and it blows up. I don't think that's the whole story. I don't think that's the whole thread, but I think it is a thread.
Or you have an authority that's saying it's true. So you have the option of thinking for yourself or simply acquiescing to power.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But but many people don't think for themselves.
So
that's exactly it. Yeah.
would it be something that I could say, because I take responsibility for my own statements, that evil is humanity not taking responsibility for itself.
Oh, I think that's good.
Love it.
I'm for
Yeah,
it.
love it.
Evil.
Well, but but I'm sorry. I think some evil is more proactive than that.
Say more, say more.
Um,
Yeah.
I'm trying not to get political because I get so whipped up. But no, it's some people. Well, some people are. There's something wrong here, but some people make make choices and carry out things that are in fact evil. Um,
Yeah.
and I'm trying to think of an example.
I've got one for you. J.D. Vance knows damn well
Hmm.
that Haitians are not eating your pets.
Yep,
Oh,
absolutely.
Yes,
God.
definitely.
That's evil.
Yeah.
He whipped people up
Yeah.
with and kept repeating that statement when he knew it wasn't true.
Mhm.
Trump lies as often as his lips are moving, but I am no longer convinced that he understands what he's doing. Vance understands what he's doing.
Yeah.
So
Miller
does Stephen Miller.
understands what
Oh.
he's doing.
Miller,
Heck, Seth.
Oh, so how does a population, whether we are the Israelites or the very new followers of Jesus, how do we discern? I mean, because we've got this whole population of people today in the example, Sharon, you just stated, who I mean, part of it, it feels to me like people either throw their education away or they never learned. They skipped civics in high school. There's this thing
Mhm.
missing
Mhm.
in their education, whether it be an ethics or a history or something. And so they're willing to jump on and jump into that evilness without being able to discern
Mhm.
what it is all about. How does that happen, and how do we fit into making change? Go ahead, Mary Lou.
I think part of it happens because there's a counter education. There's a counter
And
education
has been
in,
since the early 80s.
yeah,
Yeah.
but there's a
Yeah.
counter education in their churches. There's a counter education at home.
Yeah.
I mean, my parents were like the poster children for some of this junk. Now, why did I not buy into it? I don't know, but I never did. But most kids do. And so I don't care what you teach in schools, you're also being countered by a larger public out here, whether it's church or parents or just the zeitgeist, you know.
Very interesting.
Mm.
So
You said hope.
I really like what she said. Can I share something?
Okay, so Anne, Janet, Sharon.
All right. So I want to show you something right now. It's sort of a confluence of things. All right. I've got, oh, you can't see them. It's not focusing on them.
Yeah.
I have two books here. One is We Make the Road by Walking. It looks like, nope, oh, whatever it's doing. All right. And this other book is John MacArthur, Exodus and Numbers. And they're like identical. The covers are identical. And but the Bible study that I'm doing with the ladies at Paul's church is going through Exodus. And we are at exactly the Ten Commandments. right now in that other Bible study, which was yesterday. And you know how the initial chapter talks about catechism and learning, and you need to learn materials in our book. But there was one thought that came out of 53 that came out of our discussion yesterday, which is fascinating, actually. Um, so so you have, or even in the mob scene in John about how, well, the point made yesterday is the law kills. So you've got the Ten Commandments, which are kind of generally structuring our sense of morality. Um, and if you follow it rigorously and not think about the Spirit, Holy Spirit being a part of what's New Testament, um, well, the law kills. They can't keep it, but the Spirit helps us live. Gospel is what important. I guess that my concept is falling apart a little bit. But here are two sets of people that we are being told are diametrically opposed to each other because they have an evangelical. Um, we are being told that we disagree. I don't think necessarily I think it's people who don't know, are ignorant, and don't think that are most susceptible to evil, and that this other group is you know, inch by inch, trying very hard to understand um, the Christian message in a way that is not so far from where I think this book is going to get us,
Yeah.
the one we're reading now. It's just an interesting confluence of the two sets of people where the narrative right now is that, oh, it's those right-wing evangelical people, terrible people. We don't actually know what they think because we're being exposed to these people who have absolutely no understanding of the Christian message. You know what I mean?
And who
That-
say that they are. I mean, that's the Stephen Millers and the J.D. Vances.
right.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I
Yeah.
think, yeah. 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 I don't know that it is a matter of disagreement as it is a matter of people who know what it is and have just turned their backs on it.
Well, I mean, I'm repenting a little bit here because when I was younger, I really, really could roast anyone who wasn't Anglican in nature and, really had it out for them. And my level of ignorance of what they actually thought was worthy of repenting, worthy of a little apology here. And I'm not saying yeah,
Yeah.
there's people who are really trying hard to understand the spirit in our lives and how we live it. And then there's the J.D. Vances of the world who are cynical and evil,
Mm.
given our new definition. So that was my point.
Yeah. Sharon.
Janet.
Janet.
You muted. Oh, there you
I've
go.
got dogs barking and a harpsichord playing, so I don't want to not hear you guys. I have wondered as a Christian, and I really kind of embraced my faith in college, and I affiliated myself with more evangelical. So I kind of had my foray into the world of evangelicalism, and one day I woke up and I went, "Oh no, this is not me." And I don't mean to sound judgmental or harsh, but um, going back to Piaget, some of you might have had him in college. He had his theory, and he believed that we go through different phases of intellectual
Developmental
development.
stages. Yeah.
And the fourth one is called formal operations, which
Mhm.
not a whole lot of people reach. They stay at what they call concrete operations, which is this is black and this is white, and
Mhm.
so be it forever. And I know I was in that phase. In high school, we know everything, right? We know what right from wrong. But as you let yourself experience the pain of others, like issues like homosexuality, abortion, and you begin to see that there is no specific, definite black and white anymore. There are people that need to do certain things that may not look like they're Christian, but they're doing it because they need to. And I began anyway, and I think most people do begin to see that people who are marginalized and are not evil, people
Right.
who are different are not evil. We need as Christians, or so we believe, and because of our experience, it's like, wait a minute, they don't look so bad, you know?
Mhm.
They don't look so sinful anymore. They're nice people.
Mhm.
And I feel like once you allow yourself to experience other people in pain or who defy, our ideas of morality, God loves them, and that's our call. And
Yeah.
so I like to believe on Good Friday or Palm Sunday when people are yelling out, crucify him, I'm like, I cannot do that. I really truly believe that if I was a little kid or a teenager or myself in that crowd, I'd be like, no, 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 please don't, no. And I know Peter fell into the trap of we're scared we're going to get hurt. But, I just think there's a time and a place to say, that's wrong. And I'm going to have to suffer some consequences here. And also allow myself to integrate myself and to be a part of people's lives who are in pain. Because, a lot of, and again, I'm trying not to be judgmental here, but a lot of the big mega churches, a lot of people are very well off. They
Mhm.
have, comfortable homes. I've been in some of those mega churches, and they never get to formal operations.
Right.
So I think we get very, what would the word be? Very like in cement, like completely rigid with our belief system. And I've known enough evangelicals to say, haven't you ever met a real gay person? Many of them are very, and I went to a conference where a bunch of gay people were talking about how hard it was to be a Christian. And I'm like, my heart was bleeding. And before that, I thought, all these people are crazy, blah, blah, blah. So I think, I don't know where I'm going with this, but that was just my own personal sort of understanding is like a lot of people don't get it that there's gray, that a lot of things that we hear from the pulpit and the things we hear from the White House are not true or they're gray. There's areas of gray. And I think we love as human beings to stay in our black and white.
Yeah.
This us versus them, black versus white, good versus bad. It ain't that way. And I don't know. I just feel like, no, I can't scream out, crucify him. I can't. I just don't think I would have done it. And I don't mean to sound proud or prissy or goody two shoes, but I'm like, no. So that's my, but I think of Piaget. I do. And I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Concrete operations. There you go.
Right.
I
Well,
don't know if it,
that's
oh,
that's
sorry.
the part of, alternate educational systems and or
Yes.
civics class, right? Or
Right. And learn
ethics
to
class.
think. Yeah.
Okay. Kathy, we
So
gotta go Sharon and then you, okay?
I I think maybe at one point in my life I might have done that because I was stuck in that concrete black and white. But now I think, you know, um, except for people like Vance and Miller and Trump and
Mhm.
What
Hegseth
and
and
what?
all those people that I really struggle to not have terrible feelings about. Um, to say, oh, well, God will take care of this because we are all made in the image of God. That can't be a face he admires very much, but whatever. Um, I I think, for some of us anyway, as we get older, and it's taken me a really long time, but I can now say that's not, it's not my place to judge that. Um,
And I can be.
and
I want to
go
respond.
ahead.
I want to respond. And I, yes, not judging is where we're at. I often wonder these days, most particularly, where not judging and resisting butt heads, because I think that the not judging, eh, yes, but where do we begin to stand up? Where do we begin to resist? Where do we begin to do as that fellow who just got arrested on the Capitol steps
Oh,
for
yeah.
saying what he
Yeah,
said?
right.
He is looking at court martial. He's looking at
Sacrificing his
50
career.
back
No
for
kidding.
resisting and saying what he needed to say. So where
Now,
that's what I wonder about. Where do those two things?
At
I
what
think
point?
the kind of judging I'm talking about is not not the kind of judging that doesn't allow for resistance.
Yeah, yeah.
It's the kind of judging that hopefully, and I really struggle with this, will keep me from hate.
Mm.
Okay.
Hmm.
And the
Um,
word I love is discernment.
Discernment.
Discernment. I mean, that is different from judging.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
It's like recognizing something is right or wrong. I mean, I have to spend my life discerning people's troubles, you know. But it's a different feel to it than judging and being harsh. It's like, oh, I don't know. I love that word,
Yeah.
discerning.
Kathy.
Past 10.
We're talking about a lot about thinking and understanding, and because of how our society operates, not going to go totally into that right now, but what about our sense of empathy? When Janet was talking, I had this sense she was just going, I just couldn't. And I think that was because, correct me if I'm wrong, Janet, that she was speaking from her heart.
Mhm.
And I think that gets pushed aside and pushed aside. And, we're supposed to be loving our neighbor. Sometimes it's really hard. That's where our mind has to come in and go, yeah, you're having a hard time with this person, but remember, you know, Jesus told us to love our neighbor. And, I think I think our empathy is just sort of looked at as a byproduct
Mm.
or something.
Love is as love does.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Gotta go.
If we can bring
Right.
those together,
Yeah.
those, our great thinking capacity and our empathy, because there's people. I remember a professor in college telling me, he said, there are people who are cognitively simple. And we were talking about World War II, I think. And he said, who do they will do the caring thing, do the right thing, do the caring thing.
Yeah.
Wow. This is big. So, I may end up talking to Susan because I feel trapped in a very obvious way.
Susan, our rector.
Our rector, yeah, clergy. Um, because I do feel absolute trapped between these two worldviews. You know, these ladies yesterday were talking about gay people and making all kinds of remarks about how they're, basically um unacceptable as human beings. and they were not even grappling with it. It's like one person was saying, they're so nice. They're so nice. I know gay people and they're so nice. All right. And I'm
My
going,
best friend.
okay,
Some of my best
good.
friends are
Oh.
Jews.
Yes.
So, because the next statement was, came from a different person was, well, they have to be. They have to be put on.
No, they don't.
No, 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 no. Sweetie,
I'm
I
sorry.
agree with
I
you.
know
I
some gay
agree with
people
you.
who
Go
are
away.
not very nice.
Wow.
Yeah.
But the point is that even the nice people aren't really nice because they're putting on a front to be socially acceptable.
Yeah.
I'm going, do you see nothing genuine about their humanity? And except that I'm not in a position, yeah.
Mm.
Some of the most outrageously black and white things are, even though you have personal experience with a genuine, positive human being, your thought, your worldview, or whatever you want to call it, absolutely must demolish their humanity because you cannot reconcile the two pieces. They have to be bad. And what a place to be in, you know? And I mean their place to be in where they can't accept reality.
Mm.
They can't respect the humanity and
Mm.
because
And,
their religious worldview says that.
Mhm. Yeah. Mary Lou?
and we're back to that kernel of truth.
Mm. Yeah.
Or the operations, black and white thinking, they cannot reconcile two pieces of information, so they resort to the old thinking, which says these people must be bad,
Well, and that you can't have two true things at the same time.
and that you
Yeah,
can't
Right.
have two things.
yes.
You can't hold the dichotomy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is
Yeah, and we have a lot
we
of people
must,
think that
which
way.
is when we take seriously our scripture,
Hmm.
we must be able to do that.
Yes.
Otherwise, we are not taking seriously our scripture, and we are what we are taking is somebody else's interpretation for truth, and haven't done the work ourselves, and not been able to come to that place where it says this in one spot and it says this in another spot. I will think about that. I will talk about that. And I may not ever figure it out. But the reality is that there are these two things that I must live within. And Janet, I think that's what when that whole crucify him, when we are asked to do that,
Oh,
in that week, whether we do it on Palm Sunday or whether we do it on Good Friday, that's a really hard thing for me to participate in
yeah, me
as
too.
well. And I think that's why we do this kind of work. That's why we read this. That's why we're not going to figure it out, right? It's 10:07 on Friday morning, and there's no way we're going to figure this thing out.
Right.
We're never going to figure out what the nature of evil is. Um, we're never going to figure out, why people lie, why people turn the truth into horrible, terrible things. But I think, what can we say about our relationship with evil? Um, Part of it for me has to do with taking responsibility for myself, taking responsibility for my neighbor, um, loving my neighbor. Um, and today, which is a very different place than I have ever been in, previously in my life, is resisting. And working at what does that look like, and what is my physical place in resisting evil. Yeah, Jane Korsberg.
What if it's as simple as deliver us from evil so we don't become a villain?
Yeah, yeah. Deliver us from evil. Hmm. Yeah, did we ever think that that prayer was going to make, make such hugely an impact, deliver us from evil? We've probably wondered our whole lives, what does that mean?
What does that mean?
Yeah, yeah.
And
Well, and I think associating with people who are different from us makes us, we can say, well, they're just weird, but I'll put up with them. Or we can say, wow, what do they have to say? And it creates what they call in psychology, and you probably heard this word, is cognitive dissonance.
yeah, yeah.
And it's really painful. And in therapy, I have to push people to become cognitively different, and the dissonance is a very painful place to be.
Yeah.
And as we are people of prayer and we spend time in silence, sometimes that comes up a lot. People are like, what is God saying? That's not what I'm used to hearing.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's worth being in a group like this where you're wrestling, and it can be very painful at times, but it's really a mark of, I don't know, spirituality or something good. But
Well, at least spiritual maturity.
yeah, there you go. It's
That-
hard. No,
Yeah.
and people don't, nope, no thanks. I'll just go to church and it's fine. Bye.
I'll just do what they tell me to do. Think what
Yeah,
they
right,
tell me to
right.
think.
I'll
It's just
do what I want to do.
so much easier that way. Yeah.
It
So
is. Yeah.
this yoke and burden story that we're gonna all hear on Sunday morning is one of those things I'm going with. This is really hard. It's really hard. So be with me in it, right? That's the call. Following Jesus is really hard. So let's be in it together. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much. This has turned into a wonderful conversation, and
Yeah.
we haven't solved anything at all.
Well, I want
No.
to thank you all so much for letting me talk out loud about some of the things that I could be a little bit more courageous about now when I think about dealing with those people that I disagree with so much.
Hmm.
Thank you.
Courage. We all need courage.
We do.
Marion Buddy just came out with her new little book for children on
Oh,
courage. So
Wow.
it's I'm excited to buy it and read it to my grandkids. Because that's what I'm looking for these days is courage. We have a demonstration on the Capitol steps coming up on Tuesday. No, it should be an
Minnesota or federal? Minnesota?
that one's Minnesota, and that one is sort of the one then we're launching into the sort of the national conversation in national resistance from Isaiah, the organization
Oh,
here.
Isaiah.
That's
Can anyone go, or is it just clergy?
on that day, I think anyone can be there. Yeah. But Anne, I want to we're having these trainings coming up starting next week that are going to be really, really important in what we decide to do about voter suppression,
When
etc.
is that next meeting? The next training?
Tuesday, Wednesday.
I'll look for it. I'll look for it.
Yeah. Well, and email me because I have it all written down.
Okay.
For just for those of you who are not in Minnesota, I don't know if you're aware that the Justice Department waited 6 months to arrest and charge leaders of the resistance in December, in January.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're almost done.
Right. Yeah. So 15 people are
Yeah.
up on
And the thing is, even if they're not convicted, they will have the expense of hiring an attorney and the stress of all of this, which is the point, because I don't think they'll be convicted.
no.
Yeah.
But
The point is to make the point that anyone who resists is going to be punished.
yeah. But it blew my mind. They waited 6 months to do it. They waited for this all to die down. And then they came in, boom, and they hoped we wouldn't notice, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. It continues.
Evil is the point.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah. Okay,
And
guys.
it's so hard to understand why people are that way. I mean,
I know.
Why they're evil.
power and money are driving forces, but
Moolah.
Our
But I'm not sure that it's all that. I mean, I'm really not sure that it's all that. I think the way I put it is, I think they have a worm in their heads, and this worm.
well, we
is
know
kind
one
of
of them does.
Satan.
and you know, I'm not even sure that it's always greed and power that's pushing this. I mean,
It's weird. What made the Hitler followers so emboldened? It's weird. It's
Yeah,
weird.
very weird.
Yes, yeah.
Gal, I missed a good conversation.
Well,
Sorry,
so
I was.
I want to tell you.
You can watch it online.
We
Gail.
Okay,
remembered
good.
to record this time. But so what my John commentary, what Caroline Lewis has to say about this particular John passage is about power. That the Pilate raises the issue of power, indicates his concern, and intimates the reason for his fear. It is Pilate's very power that is on the line, and how that power will be perceived. And then she goes on to say is what is really at risk and what in the end matters for Jesus's trial. It is not Jesus who is on trial. Janet, you can
Right.
close your eyes if you want, close your ears if you want to here.
Mhm.
It is those, so it's not Jesus who's on trial. It is those who sit in the audience or the witness stands. Jesus knows the results of his court case.
Mm.
We know ours, the response of the witnesses present, but more so those for whom the gospel is written, and now who hear its truth is on the line. That's for me a huge challenge. It's a huge challenge. Yeah.
Well, I have got to go. I will
Yeah.
send out the
This book,
message about what we're reading next week, and see you all next Friday, I hope.
Happy 4th of July.
Bye.
Happy
Have a good
4th.
week, everybody.
we'll see
Have
ya.
a good
You
have a
too.
good 4th of July. Happy
Stay
4th of
cool.
July.
Stay cool.
Yeah. Hi.
Bye-bye.
Bye.